All right, so let's jump right in. When you picture a genius, what's the first image that pops into your head? Is it some frantic scientist, scribbling equations all over a chalkboard? Or maybe it's that person who just always has a super complex, brilliant answer for everything. But what if I told you the real signs of high intelligence are actually, well, a lot quieter, way more subtle, and they're kind of hiding in plain sight? Believe me, psychology tells a completely different story.
So, yeah, what does a genius actually look like? It's a fantastic question, isn't it? Because the way we imagine intelligence is often shaped more by movies than by, actual reality. The source material for this whole explainer suggests we should be looking for habits, not just those big, headline-grabbing moments of brilliance.
And this just illustrates the difference perfectly. On one side, you've got the Hollywood genius, always performing, always on. But the psychological research, it points to something far more internal. It suggests that intelligence isn't just about what you know, it's about how your brain processes the world around you. It's a series of really subtle patterns, not some constant performance. So let's dig into what those patterns are.
Okay, we're going to start with the habits that happen inside the mind, that internal world of a really active brain. This is where the heavy lifting gets done, away from the eyes of other people.
So here are 4 key habits that often show up in that inner world. We're talking about embracing solitude, practicing self-talk, a tendency to overthink things, and really thriving late at night. Let's start with that first one, solitude. Now, this isn't about being antisocial or anything like that. It's actually about cognitive function. A highly intelligent mind is constantly working, and being alone gives the prefrontal cortex, which is kind of like the brain's CEO, the space it needs to plan, reflect, and just work through complex ideas without being interrupted all the time. And the research totally backs this up. A study from the London School of Economics found exactly this. For highly intelligent people, constant social interaction can actually lead to less satisfaction. It's like their brains are just wired to crave that quiet time to process everything. And, this same kind of internal logic applies to the other habits we saw, like using self-talk to organize your thoughts or overthinking, which is really just the brain exploring a ton of different scenarios at once. And this brings us to a really crucial point. How often do we get these behaviors totally wrong? We see someone who enjoys being alone and we label them antisocial, or someone who thinks through every single detail seems indecisive. But what if what we're actually seeing are just the outward signs of a super active inner mind at work? So let's build on that and move to our next section. How does this kind of mind actually engage with the outside world? What are the habits that we can see in social settings? Here are 5 really common ones. The first is a constant curiosity. A truly intelligent brain is basically a why machine. It's always searching for patterns. And right alongside that is this comfort with just saying, I don't know. Now, that might sound a little counterintuitive, right? But it's actually a profound sign of intellectual humility. And the reason why is explained perfectly by something called the Dunning-Kruger Effect. See, people with less knowledge often don't even realize how much they don't know, which leads to this massive overconfidence. But highly intelligent individuals, they're acutely aware of just how vast and complex things are, which makes them way quicker to see the limits of their own knowledge. Okay, this next point is absolutely critical. For a highly intelligent person, beliefs aren't some fixed part of their identity. They're more like flexible mental models, ready to be updated as soon as new evidence comes in. This cognitive flexibility is a huge strength. It actually uses a similar skill set to having a strong sense of humor, which requires you to connect unrelated ideas and understand nuance. And then finally, there's the habit of observing social dynamics first. Gathering data before speaking, which just shows a powerful ability to recognize patterns in human behavior. All these habits, the internal ones and the external ones, they all point to something much, much deeper. There's this single unifying trait that sits right at the very core of this way of thinking, and it goes way beyond just knowing a bunch of facts. And that is a constant search for meaning. When you're wired to see complexity and patterns absolutely everywhere, it almost always leads to these deeper reflections on purpose and identity. It's that quiet, nagging question in the back of your mind. Why do we even think the way we do? So here's the most important takeaway. Intelligence isn't a performance. It's not about having all the answers. At its very heart, it is about a relentless, unstoppable curiosity. It's about having a brain that is fundamentally wired to just keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep trying to understand the incredibly complex puzzle that is our world.
Which really leaves us with one final thought. Now that you can spot these hidden habits, what assumptions or patterns in your own world are you inspired to look at with a new sense of curiosity? What are you going to question next?